Hi, my name is Ravit Rose, founder of IRU. Super pleased to be here with Dr. Gary Salyer, who is our transformational coach. And we're going to be talking about a very important conversation, like how do you know when it's time to get divorced? How do you know when it's time to take the next step? What do you do when you have a non-workable relationship? Where do you go from here? How do you take the next step? And not talking about the legal stuff. I'm talking about the emotional decision to move on to the next step. And Dr. Gary is the expert, and he's here to provide us some guidance and direction. Thank you so much for being here, and I'm really looking forward to hearing your thoughts.
Thank you, Ravi. When people are in a bad relationship, one of the things we know from couples research is the average couple takes 6.2 years to seek professional help after they definitively know, there's no ifs, there's no buts, they know they have a serious problem. Nobody would treat their car light, the warning light on their car like that. Nobody would have a leaky roof like that. Nobody would have a tooth that ached like that. And what's underneath that? The biggest thing is you have to get to the place. I would hope that you have sought professional help beforehand, but there is a place when you notice when the patterns are over and over and over that you acknowledge what is. A lot of people build hope structures. Well, one day if we can just get the right therapist, and they're done the last, 5 therapists, and then it's a lot of times then they hire me and I'm the 6th or 7th, right? And you have to get to the place where when you've done enough work, I would hope you have done some work to change it unless something egregious has happened, that you simply say, we are in a place that doesn't work. So you have to acknowledge what is. Stop counting on hope to save it. That's and you have to look at how am I feeling? Now, I would also like to say before I say that my criteria for looking at whether a relationship is viable or is not viable is what sort of we, I guess it's over here, what sort of we do you have in the relationship? Every couple that I've ever worked with that has come in for help, part of that 6.2 years I talked about, and they had a problem, everyone has had a problem with having two me's rather than a we. If there is no we, if there is no teammate, that relationship cannot make it as a viable marriage. You can't have two me's. Two me's invites conflict over and over. It's the structure that drives. It makes a division, me versus me. By implicitly, without a we, there is no, it constantly drives. That form of relationship drives the relationship right down the tubes where conflict is inevitably waiting. Whereas a we is the sort of structure in a relationship where you can say, oh, it looks like our issue is in the room. It looks like we are doing the same thing. How can we do it differently this time? We invites two people to stop the blame. How many people have watched bad couples and the blame is put on like butter on a bread and real thick, right? So when you look that there's no we, and there is a grooved conflict. Both people are getting inside a relationship that they know what the triggers are and they keep triggering each other, and it's like a script being read. Ba 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 ba. No, 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 no. Ba 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 ba. No, 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 no. And it's every time. When you get to that place, you can change it. If it hasn't changed with an appropriate amount of help, then two things are at play. You've got attachment issues that have not and conflict resolution, but some part of that brain in your partner needs distance. They will find over and over, ways of putting in distance. And there won't be enough sessions in the world because that brain will keep. So are the patterns an attachment pattern? And then sometimes it can be values as well. I can tell you that you could get two nice, good, secure people that have good skills, but if their values, or they picked each other poorly based on values misalignment, that won't be able to make it. If somebody wants to live in the burbs in a $5,000 home and somebody wants to live in a teepee in the woods, you're going to have a hard time putting that together unless you like teepees in a very big living room. That being a joke, but I heard of it once and it didn't work either, right? You'd be surprised what people have tried. So, and all that tells you are the patterns keep coming over and if they keep coming up over and over and you've sought work and it hasn't worked, then there is some either attachment misalignment or values. And the other thing you want to go and look at is what are the feelings that you keep repeating and experiencing over and over. Now, in my own work on attachment, I isolate 4 feelings as the key for any lasting relationship, any secure relationship. And so you can just look, do a quick inventory, 1 to 10. How welcomed with joy do we make each other feel? Or are you walking into the house and you're thinking, oh my God, there they are again. When are they going to jump down my throat? Not very good welcome with joy. Or they're just doing this thing all night, looking at their phone, rather than deal with the distance that's there. Try to distract themselves. How worthy do you feel? 1 to 10. How worthy do you feel? I reach out and ask for your needs. Have you gotten to the place where, there's no sense asking, they're not going to do it. It's just not worth the hassle. How cherished and protected? Do they leverage and cherish and protected is 2 levels? Do they go off on you with defense and criticism every time you try to bring up an issue? That's not cherishing. Cherishing says, I will not have unbridled expression of negative feelings and constant criticism at you, at the partner. Can you actually talk about things and feel cherished and protected? And that protection means that they don't betray you. They're not constantly making decisions that leverage their interest at an expense to you. Your loss is their win. All sorts of ways you can do that. And then how empowered with choice do you feel? 1 to 10. Do you feel like you honor each other having a separate me? Yes, but you can come back to a nice supportive we that supports your dreams, that supports who you are in your essence. Does that person get your essence and they empower you to become more of it, or they draw out the worst in you? And can you have a right to speak your truth? If those 4 feelings have been in the Johnny Flusher, so to speak, for years and you can't get out of them, one is a relation. If one is missing, one is on one of those feelings is 7 or under. Yeah, you've got a few things to work on. You could still make it work. 2, you should probably what I say. You're looking for the number of somebody like me or a therapist. You're looking for and 3 or 4. If 3 or 4 of those feelings are missing, because this is how our brain knows we are loved or not, are these 4 feelings. I write about it in my book. That feeling, if there's 3 or 4, it's a toxic relationship. If you can't ameliorate those feelings, you don't have a we, and above all, if it no longer feels safe at multiple levels, it is time to get out. Do your healing, find out how you contributed to it in your various ways, and that's when you seek a divorce, is when those things cannot be changed. The 4 feelings are gone and there's no safety. It's a fairly easy equation. And if you've done the work and you can't change it, stop holding hope out, erase hope, and say, this is what is.
And that's
That's
really important also, like when you're in denial. I'm not comfortable with getting divorced. I always thought we were always going to be married. There was no such thing as divorce when we got married. But if things broke down and you're at the point where you're at an impasse and you're trying to figure out what to do, how to do it, wherever you're at, I do feel free to DM Gary All his coordinates are here below, and I'm sure he'd be delighted to provide you consultation to help you figure out, what do I do from here? How do I get from, the me's to the we? And how do we move forward at this point and figure out what do we do next? So thank you
Exactly.
so much for being here, Dr. Gary. Really very interesting information. Thank you all for watching. Until the next time we speak, I wish you all a day that matters. Take care, everyone.